Well, I was asked if I could make a drink called a Batangas, and I thought you might enjoy the backstory. Well, the creator of the drink is Don Javier Delgado Corona, and he is from Tequila, Mexico, and he has a bar there called La Capilla, which translates to the chapel. At first I thought it might be an unusual name for a bar, but then I got thinking, well, a bar is full of spirits, and so maybe not a bad name after all. So one day, Don Javier was sitting around with his friends, not in this bar, a previous bar, and they rented of glasses. Now, I don't think they rented of all the glasses in the bar, but they liked a particular glass. They liked this one here. They called it a tubos, or a tube. And pretty good description of the glass because it's the same size from top to bottom. It's like a tube. So he said to his friends, I'm going to go down to the market and I'm going to get some glasses for us because that's the ones they like to use. He went down to the market and he could not find those glasses anywhere. So he came back with this glass and he said, they didn't have any. All I could find was this Batangas. Now, the story behind that is, and why he named it that, as one of his friends that he liked to drink with was a Filipino. And he was from Batangas. And he was kind of short and stout, hence the name, because you can see the glass is quite a bit different. Much wider glass. So anyway, he was kidding his friend. He says, all I could find was this Batangas. I guess we'll have to use these. So, anyway, interesting side note is that my wife is from the Philippines, and she is from Romblon, which is on the island of Tablas, and close to Batangas. So sometimes when people would come home, they would say, well, I just got back from Manila, and I came via Batangas. And the way they did that was they take a bus from Manila down to Batangas, and then there was these small boats, almost like canoes, and they would take people over to the different islands, maybe over to Blas, over to someplace else. And so the boats were called Batangas, and the island became Batangas. This man was from Batangas, so his friend, Don Javier, called him Batangas, and the glass, which kind of represented him or the canoe, is also Batangas. So the glass was called a Batangas, the drink became a Batangas. So now you know the story. So let's make one. So I've been kind of rolling some limes out here. That one's a little softer. It seemed a little firm when I first got them. So the first thing you do, he's got a knife that looks just like this. Works well. So the first thing you do is you wipe the rim of the glass with the lime. Now they'll tell you in some recipes online that you put a pinch of salt at the bottom. We don't do that, and he didn't do that. I'm making the drink the way he makes it. So he put the glass right into the salt. Get a nice salt rim on there. Give it a tap if you want. Get rid of some of the salt. And then he took the lime. That's almost the size of a lemon. There is a pinch of salt in the bottom, but it got there naturally. Now they say online, some of the recipes, 5/12 of an ounce. Why not 6/12? That would be a half ounce. That's probably pretty close to that, but he wasn't doing that. Just give me a second, I'm going to get some ice cubes. So, after he did that, he filled the glass up with ice. That's enough? Sure. Let's go with that. So once he did that, move some of that salt out of the way, he poured in the tequila. Now, again, they'll tell you online maybe you should use a Patron. If I'm going to use a Patron, I'm probably going to use it as a sipping tequila. You know, I'll pour some in a glass, might put a hint of lime on it, but I'm not going to pour it into a drink and then fill it full of Coca-Cola. What would be the point? But this is a good reposado. Now, there's several types of tequila. There's Blanco, which is the white. I've got some Lunazol there, that's Blanco. There is Reposado, which basically means rested. So this rested in a barrel for a little while. It changed the color, probably an oak barrel. Then there's Añejo, which is darker because it may be rested longer. And a lot of people are doing now, the same with single malts and tequilas, is they're adding coloring. So just because you've got an Añejo that's marked, that looks like it's mahogany in color, doesn't mean that it necessarily got there by spending more time in an oak barrel. It might have just been colored. Shame that they're doing it, but that's what happens. Anyway, you don't have to use your Patron. You can use whatever you want, actually, but this is a good reposado. And Nice pop to that. On Javier, didn't measure out 1.5 ounces. He just poured a free pour. I'm going to say about like that. He poured more, but that'll be enough. That's close to 2 ounces. And then I've got some Coca-Cola here that's been in my ice bucket behind me. And then he would just fill this right up to the top with cola. Now, like I say, he used a little bit more than I did, but that's going to be fine. He stirs it with the same knife he cuts the limes with. Kind of swears by that. He just does that, gives a little stir. Like so. And that's how simple it is to make a Batangas. We should give that a try. Wow. That is amazing. And you don't need to get specific with, 5/12 of an ounce or whatever. That's a pretty good free pour. I'm going to say that's about 2 ounces and juice of half a lime. That is an excellent drink. I have this saying, you never know when you're going to have a good night. I get a feeling that might be tonight. Sit around with some friends, maybe have a Batangas or two. We'll see. And just enjoy the evening. So wherever you are tonight, I hope you're having a good night as well. You never know, maybe this will be a good night for you as well. So to Don Javier, thank you so much for the recipe. And, for everybody else out there tonight, whatever you're doing, if you're having a drink, why don't you chime in? Let me know what you're doing, and let me know what you're having this evening. Love to hear from you. Have a good one. Salute. My.